Good morning. It is Tuesday, the 21st of October, 2025. Hello and welcome, everyone in the chat. I hope you're all feeling groovy this morning. I am Graham Hughes, as you might already know. I don't know. If you'd like to jump into the chat with Lost Missionary and Miss Paula Thomas and Veg Pie and Sid and Saz and Sarah, if you'd like to join all that lot, you can easily do that by pressing the subscribe button. The subscribe button. Hey, it appeared. You might have to move the if you're on your phone, you might have to move the chat out the way for a moment while you subscribe. But if you do that, you can then enter the chat, which is really cool. So big shout out to everyone in the chat here so far. Lost Mission is saying interesting piece on Sky News about spectacles giving eyesight to the blind. Really cool. Yeah, new developments in eye care, which is fantastic. But then, I just kind of get a bit down about the fact that there was a deaf researcher looking into a cure for deafness, and Trump took all of his funding away because he was deaf, and therefore a DEI hire. Anyone seen what Trump has done to the White House? See, he's tearing the back out of it. Quite a metaphor, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about immigration. And we need to talk about Britain's completely fucked up obsession with blaming immigrants for everything. And, immigrants, let's just say from the top, if you don't agree with this, right, probably don't watch this because I'll just enrage you. I don't know. Maybe watch it and I might inform you. But immigrants are not the problem. They are the scapegoats. The real problem is greed. Okay? Greed. That is the problem. Political failure and billionaire-owned media. So, birth rate's falling. We're down to 1.3, is it now? Fertility rate is 1.3. It needs to be 2.1 at least. 2.1 at least. I think it's 2.2 or something to ensure that we replace the number of people who are dying. That's just not happening. It hasn't happened for a while now because people can no longer afford to have children in this country. We have set things up so that our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation could afford a house on one salary coming in, doing a menial job, working in a factory, driving a bus. And I don't mean to be demeaning by saying that, but I mean it's a kind of job that anyone can do. You don't need a university degree or master's or PhD to drive a bus. In fact, you don't need any qualifications whatsoever, except you need to be able to read and you need to be able to drive a bus. And yet people who are bus drivers could afford to buy a house for £28,000. £28,000. Yeah. And then they could just sit on it and watch its value accrue over many, many years. And suddenly they decide now that they are the cleverest people who ever lived. Just the cleverest and smartest, most canny investors. These people are like the wolves of Wall Street. That's what they are. They're the fucking wolves, man. Look what they did. They bought a house for peanuts back when the cost of living was really fucking low. But now, it's too expensive. Young people can't afford to buy a house in their 20s. Maybe in their 30s. Most people are waiting, 40s now, even into their 50s, before buying their first house. I don't have I don't have a house in this country. I only have a house in Panama made of wood because I won it in a game show, So there you go. There's some privilege there in it, I guess. But for the vast majority of us, we are really struggling. So forget about buying a house, right? And if you can't even afford to buy a house, how the fuck are you going to pay to have kids? The amount that kids cost now is absolutely insane. And don't forget, it's not just that nursery fees and things are really expensive, and you need two parents who are both working at the same time in order to afford to be able to have a child. But then they're working full time, so how do they look after the child? Yeah, bit of a problem there, bit of a dilemma. It's just like trying to knock a a round object into a square hole. It's just not going. It just doesn't work. The way we've got things set up at the moment just doesn't work. But birth rates are falling. So we've got this older generation, fuckloads of them, because that's why they're called the baby boomers, because there was a baby boom just after the end of World War II. Baby boom. Yeah. And the NHS is literally being held together by migrant workers. Our economy relies on migrant labour. Immigrants contribute more tax than they take in services. And housing crisis has been caused by Tories selling off council homes and not rebuilding any homes. In the process, it's not being caused by immigrants. And then wages are being suppressed by corporate greed. Not by migrants. It's corporate greed. That means that people don't get paid what they should. I read somewhere that in America, if the minimum wage was still what it should be, like as a percentage of how much things cost, right? It will now be $26 an hour in America. It's $7. It's been $7 since 2011. It's the last time it went up a little tiny bit. And if you're a server, you might be on $2 an hour and you rely on tips. I mean, I'm not going to debate the facts here because these are the facts. We need immigrants or we need children. And even if we had loads of children today, it would be 18, 20, 21, 22 years before any of them really enter the workplace. By then, a lot of the people who need young people to look after them right now, because they're elderly, the boomers, most of them won't be with us anymore. The vast majority, sadly. But there you go. That's mortality for you, innit? So I just want to mention Katie Lamb. So I was in a little bit of a panic before I started this show, which I normally do. You know, you've got to fall into the what's it called? The ADHD panic mode in order to get the adrenaline to get your shit done. So GSD, get shit done, right? So I go on to my Politics Social WhatsApp group and I say, it's got 25 minutes to go. I've still got to have a shower and some breakfast. And I haven't got a clue what I'm going to talk about. And it was suggested to me by Rachel, our friend Rachel, lovely Rachel, that I talk about Katie Lamb, who is a Conservative MP and rising far-right star. And she wants to deport legally settled families in order to, and these are the words that should haunt her to the grave, to make Britain culturally coherent. Can you hear that? Can you hear that dog whistle? Can you hear it? Can you? Because I fucking can. I can fucking hear that dog whistle. Culturally coherent. This is the definition of fascism. Purging society of those who don't belong. Straight out of the far-right playbook. White nationalist dog whistle. Culturally coherent. The idea being that Britain, as it stands at the moment, as a world country, as a country that has people from all over the fucking world living in it, right, is somehow incoherent as a result. Which, look, I drive through the villages, between here and the Lake District, and there does seem to be a lot of cultural cohesion in this country, because I'm driving through a village and there's a Chinese fish and chip shop, there's an Indian takeaway, there's a pizza place, there's a Mexican restaurant. There's people from all over the world who live here, and that is fucking amazing. And you know what's really weird? The one place that the alt-right love to go on about more than anything else, their sort of wet dream of going to a place and working there and not paying any tax, is Dubai. Dubai is one of the most multicultural places on the planet. It's got people from all over the world, and particularly from the Middle East. If you go to Dubai, there's lots of people there from India. There's lots of people there from Pakistan and from Bangladesh and from Sri Lanka. Lots, fucking shitloads. So what do you want to do? Do you want to leave here and go somewhere where there's no people from the Indian subcontinent? Well, try going to Dubai, mate. You're going to be surrounded by them. In a country that is an Arabic country where the state religion is Islam. Yeah, okay, cool. You go there and moan about Sharia law. Go on, go on. We had Tommy 10 names yesterday going to, was it Bethlehem? He went to like a religious site, a Christian religious site. And he said, just imagine if this was part of a caliphate, they would have destroyed it. Yeah. The people looking after that church since the, 12th century have been Muslims. Tommy, dickhead, Stephen, whatever the fuck your name is, tiny dick. But you know. But you're one of the good ones, says not Magenta. Yeah. That whole thing of you're one of the good ones. So let's make people feel scared. Let's make people all over the country, let's fill them with anxiety and fear that any day they could be turfed out of their homes. How cruel is that? How fucking sadistic is that? How sick and twisted in your little fucking noggin do you have to be to want people in this country, families, to live in fear of what might happen, of being deported, of losing everything? That fear of losing everything hanging like a sword of Damocles over millions of families because their children are the wrong colour for these white nationalist, Ku Klux Klan, racist, xenophobic cunt wipes. These racists, they are on the ascendancy at the moment because they're getting fucking the tummies tickled by the likes of Timmy Tiny Dick and Nigel Farage and that fucking creep in the Tory party, Katie Lamb and others. You know, Farage saying we're going to do away with like settled status, indefinite leave to remain. We're going to get rid of indefinite leave to remain. So it won't be definite. Any day the government under Nigel Farage can go, no, you got to leave now. Got to go. You got to go back to a country that you don't know anyone in. Got to go back. You know, you got to sell up your house quickly, fire sale, and you got to leave our country. You know, thank you for your service. And the thing is, immigrants are great. Immigrants are fucking fantastic because you know what? We don't have to pay for them for the first 20 years of their lives. British kids, we have to pay for them. Literally everything. We have to pay so much. And you know, when we're talking about how much it costs to have kids, that's why the declining birth rate is happening. It's not just the babysitting costs of looking after kids, sending them to nursery and stuff. It's also like everything else. The clothes. Kids outgrow their clothes within a year. You know, it's also like the safety stuff that you have to have now. Now, when I was a kid, you didn't have to wear a safety belt in the back of a fucking car. You know, so you didn't have to buy a car seat for a baby to be able to drive them around. Yeah, I mean, it's good that you have to now, but still, it's a huge expense. And then you got the other expenses, like, you know, baby-proofing your fucking house and doing all the things that you need to do to keep your baby safe, which is understandable and right, and, you know, but also things like you might not think of, right? So during the day here, right, me and Kat are working, and we don't have the heating on generally, and I'll work in my clothes. I'll work in gloves. I've got gloves that I can type with, right? So I wear my gloves, because, you know, who cares? You know, whatever. I can survive in the cold. Meanwhile, if you had a baby here, if we had a baby, we'd have to have the central heating on all day. That would cost a fucking fortune. It's little things like that, and they all add up. That you don't think of. You think, well, actually, no, yeah, you do have to have the central heating on all day in the winter when you've got a baby, because you can't have the baby, you know, going to fucking the hospital with pneumonia. You know, I think they'll put you on a list if you did that. They'll put you on a certain list, wouldn't they? The cost of having children has just skyrocketed, and yet wages are just suppressed. The cost of living, the cost of buying food for your baby has gone through the fucking roof. And here we are. Do you know what I mean? Like, the Tories go, well, you need to have more kids. And they make it impossible to have kids. I fucking hate the Tories. This is exactly what they've done. These rich, moneyed elites like Nigel Farage and Elon Musk going, oh, these people should have more children. They should have Jacob Rees-Mogg, you know, multi-millionaire. He's worth over £100 million, that Rees-Mogg creep. And he's like, oh, people should have more children. I've got 7 children. And I'm like, yeah, we can't afford it, dickhead. Because the gulf between the haves and have-nots in this country has just gone insane. Absolutely insane. And the sad thing is, it means that in generations to come, all we're going to have is dickheads and posh people. Because the rest of us aren't going to have kids. Swear box, thank you, Colin. Looks like one C-bomb per day. Thank you very much for that, Colin. It's very kind of you for the super chat. First super chat of the day. It's very awesome. It's very awesome and kind of you. If anyone else wants to drop a super chat in, you're very welcome to do so. You know, that's your support for migrants and this channel. Anyway, so I was going back to Katie Lamb for a moment. She claimed people who came here legally but shouldn't have been allowed, which is retroactive punishment, which is Windrush. So this would be Windrush 2.0, I guess. These are families. These are homeowners. These are NHS workers, teachers, drivers, taxpayers that Katie Lamb is saying she wants to deport. She wants to deport legally settled families. She wants to rip children out of their beds in the middle of the night with some kind of immigration Gestapo and deport them, put them on a plane to a country that they don't know, a country that they've never been, a country whose language they don't speak. And that's what she wants to do, you know? And this is ethnic cleansing by bureaucracy. It's what it is. Deportation without committing a crime in a country that has said, no, you're all right, you can stay. And then decides, oh, actually, no, I was joking, you can't really stay. And, you know, Badenoch, of course, refuses to condemn, which is a bit crazy, isn't it? Considering, Kemi. Do you think you're one of the good ones, Kemi? Do you think they'll leave you? They won't go for you, yeah? Yeah. A lot of very wealthy Jews in the 1930s in Germany thought that the state wouldn't go against them. Would it? You know, they have friends everywhere. The state wouldn't turn against them. They wouldn't liquidate their assets. They wouldn't liquidate them and their families. No, they were the good ones. The Nazis would leave them alone. Is that what you think, Kemi? You think the Nazis are going to leave you alone? Good luck with that. You know, this rhetoric is fucking dangerous as well. This is coming from a Tory MP. A Tory MP. You know, this leads to violence. You know, the rise in far-right attacks over recent years. And then you've got the Farage factor, you know, the torchbearer division. Oh, Farage's policy is to abolish indefinite leave to remain. You know, that would leave 800,000 people, which is the same number of people who got massacred in Rwanda in 1994. 800,000 people in legal limbo. They would lose homes, rights, the right to remain. They'd lose their jobs. So we'll have a huge skills shortage, we'll break up families, we'll destroy lives, a major threat to social security, social stability. And, you know, Farage lies. He says, oh, these migrants come here for benefits. Fuck off, you horrible little fucking clanging twat. Mate, what are you talking about? They can't. Most people who come here have a thing in their passport, right? It says no recourse to public funds. Right? That's what it fucking says. They can't claim. Most people coming here have to pay an NHS surcharge in case they get ill. Fuck me. You know, it says migrants don't work, but migrant employment rates are higher, much higher, than UK-born workers. And this, you know, he benefits from the Brexit chaos that he has created. The downturn in our economy, the fact that wages haven't grown, the fact that, you know, we are fucked in so many ways and will be for the rest of probably our lives, thanks to that cunt, Nigel Farage. He did this. That rich, multi-millionaire, Coots bank account holding, pilot fucking killing cunt. He did this. And now he's like, oh, look at the state of everything. Not my fault. It's all the fault of immigrants. Fuck off, Nigel. You fucking horrible little prick. God, there is a rung of hell. I wish hell existed. Wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be fantastic if these motherfuckers, you know, once they pop the clogs, We're tortured for all eternity in a fiery lake of shit. That sounds great. Let's do that. Unfortunately, it's just a myth from the Bronze Age. But never mind. A boy can hope. But yeah, the fact that he's saying this absolute fucking hypocritical shit when he was the architect of Britain's demise, and now he's saying, look, it's all immigrants' fault. He's stoking fear for personal gain. This bastard who earns 1.2 million pounds he earns a fucking year on top of being a fucking MP. He's laughing at these stupid dickheads round here voting for his fucking stupid fucking party. Couldn't even fucking organise a piss up in a brewery and they're put in charge of a cunty council. Anyway, so yeah, between Refuck and Katie Lamb, and Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick, and this is the mainstreaming of extremism. And then you've got like public anxiety around immigration manufactured by the fucking tabloid press, the Daily Fail, the Telegraph, GB News. Brexit broke immigration control and made it worse, not better. And now politicians are using this as a distraction from housing failure, NHS collapse, stagnating wages, corporate tax avoidance, a declining economy. If you can't fix the problem, blame someone who can't fight back. Hey, how about trans women? How about pretending that trans men don't exist? Hey, there you go. There's your target right there. How about blaming people who are just fucking working hard? Who were just fucking working hard. For the last 5 years, my dad has been on palliative care, and the people who've come every day for 4 fucking years have been from India or the Indian subcontinent, or they've been from Africa. All of them. Every single fucking one. If they weren't coming each day, my dad might not still be here. So thank you, migrants. Thank you, people coming from other countries, doing the jobs that we either don't want to do or we can't do because there's just not enough of us. Thank you. And when these fucking lying bastards say, oh, the immigrants took our jobs. They took our jobs. They took our jobs. No, they create jobs and fill shortages. That's what migrants do. We invite people over. We give them visas. The vast majority of people, over 95% of people coming here to this country, come here because we gave them a fucking visa to come and work because we needed them to work here. And just turn up and go, where are the jobs? Like the guys outside the fucking dock in the morning, seeing if they get some work, like boys from the black stuff. Do you know what I mean? No. These people are invited. They have to have a specific job that they are going to fill when they get here. And you know what? It costs companies more to get people from other countries and to pay for all the visa shit and to fly them over than it does to get someone from Britain to do that job. But if no one from Britain wants to or can do that job because there's not enough of us, then what are you going to do? What the fuck are you going to do? What's your mad plan? You moaned all the time, right? Not you watching this, obviously, but I'm just talking about the Brexit voters. You moaned constantly about people coming here from Poland and from Romania and from Bulgaria. Okay, fine. We'll get rid of these white Christians and we'll replace them with people who might not be Christian or might not be white. Fine. I don't mind. I don't care either way. I see Britain as a world country, a country that has explored the world, has interfered with the world. And yeah, so I don't see anything wrong with people from around the world coming here. They don't pay tax. This is what people say. They don't pay tax. No, migrants pay more in tax than they receive. Keep telling people that. They pay more in tax than they receive in subsidies or benefits or use of the NHS or anything that they use. They pay more in tax. EU immigrants used to pay fucking way more in tax than they took in services. They flood the NHS, says Nigel Farage. No, the NHS would collapse without migrant workers. Collapse. There would be no NHS. They caused the housing crisis. No, that crisis was caused by decades since the mid-80s of house building, of not building new houses, having right to buy. So people buying council houses, taking them out of the property portfolio of councils and corps around the country, and then giving those those same things to private landlords or private owners of these houses, of this portfolio. It's that's not caused by migrants. It's not at all. They don't integrate, people say. I'm sorry, but they fucking do. And, the fact that chicken tikka masala is one of the most popular dishes in the country, if not the typical British dish now. I mean, there's a lot of heritage in that, The fact that it's not even an Indian dish. It is a British dish. It was invented in Britain. It was not invented in the Indian subcontinent. And, integration requires, if you want it to work properly, it requires investment. But you can still have areas where, as long as you don't ghettoize it, you can still have areas of like Manchester, Liverpool, London that have a Chinatown. Newcastle has a Chinatown where there's a load of Chinese restaurants and people from China generally congregate. Not everyone. There's not a wall around it where they can't leave without permission from the Aryan fucking masters, But it's fine. They integrate enough. Chinese people have been coming here for centuries. For centuries. Liverpool has the oldest Chinatown in the whole of Europe, I think. Someone should look that up. And then that one about UK being full. Fuck off. UK has a similar population density to, like, I don't know, Netherlands or Belgium. I mean, countries are doing fine. You can drive for like an hour if you go north of here into Northumberland. You won't see another fucking person. We're full. It's loads of fucking space. Fuck off. And then we've got Britain's decline. There's nearly 1 million empty fucking houses in this country. We're full. What about the empty houses? Oh, well, those landlords, you can't force them to do something with their property. Yeah. Black Dot is saying Katie Lamb will defect to refuck. I could definitely see that happening, considering what she just said. So the fertility rate is now, apparently it's 1.49. 1.49. It needs to be 2.1, I think, to ensure the population is maintained stable. Below replacement level, we've got an aging population. Who pays pensions in 20 years' time? Immigrants. Who staffs hospitals, care homes, transport, agriculture? Immigrants. Without immigration, the UK economy collapses. It's as simple as that. It's on its last legs anyway because of Brexit. But if we went ahead with the plans of these gobshites like Katie Lamb and Nigel Farage and their oil fucking oligarch dictator butchers like Putin's, the leader of Saudi Arabia, who get this journalist to come into the embassy to get it to renew his passport, and we'll chop him up with a bone saw. Yeah, cool. Yeah, perfectly normal. It's what an oil state does. An oil state that still hangs people for being gay. But let's go over and have a comedy festival there. Sounds great. The 80% of the money coming into transphobic organisations into America is coming from fossil fuel companies. As if I didn't hate fossil fuel enough. That's another reason to fucking hate that filthy, toxic fucking slime and the filthy, toxic fucking slime balls that sell it. Immigration, it's not optional. At the moment, in this country, because of the lay of the land, it is survival. So they're the options, racist dickheads. You can either have your racism or you can have your country. You can't have both. It's a bit like Brexit. You could have Brexit or a thriving economy. You could not have both. And they chose Brexit because they're fucking idiots. Because they're driven by hate. They're driven by xenophobia. They're driven by racism and bigotry. They're not driven by common sense. And we can't get through to them. We cannot get through to the logical fucking centers of these people's brains because they don't have a logical fucking center. You have to play on their fucking emotions. You have to show them what life will be like with no immigrants. Really fucking show them how shit it'll be with them in a nursing home that the roof is leaking and there's no one looking after them and they've shat their pants but they can't fucking move and they sit there in their shitty fucking pants for the next fucking 8 hours waiting for someone to come and help them, pressing the button but nothing's happening, and a ghostly voice of Theresa May over the tannoy saying, "You voted for this. This was what you wanted. This is the future that you embraced. You stupid, stupid cunt. There you go. So, like, this is all about scapegoating, isn't it? Divide and rule, classic authoritarian tactic, turn working class Brits against migrants so they don't notice all the corporate theft going on. So they don't go after, I don't know, Michelle Mone and John Barrowman, who stole 120 odd million from the taxpayer. Don't complain about them. I know. Useful villains out there, small boats, illegals, foreigners, easy distractions. And, Britain has always had scapegoats. In the 1970s, it was people who were Irish. Guilty, innocent until proven Irish, they used to say. In the 1980s, it was people from the Caribbean. In the 90s and 2000s, it became the Eastern Europeans. And now it's refugees and asylum seekers and people coming from India and from Africa. And, the story no one tells is just the huge success of immigration. The Windrush generation helped rebuild this country after the war. Migrant doctors saved the NHS during COVID. The tech, the science, food production, it all relies on immigrants. And celebrating diversity is patriotic. It keeps the country alive. Do you want this country to survive? Do you want the people in the country to be happy? Do you want them? Do you want people to look after you in your old age? Do you want to have a pension? Then embrace immigration. And we need politicians making a positive case for immigration, which so many of them refuse to fucking do. Not least Keir Starmer, who in this situation is just like, what a twat for not saying, no, we do need migrants. We do need people coming here. People are welcome. The people who have come over here to work, we will champion them. They should give out fucking immigration awards to people to say, this person gave X amount of their time and X amount of their money to this country. Here you go. We're going to reward you with a gong. I'd much rather have that than some private school kid who's never had a proper job getting a gong for, services to the BBC. The real enemy, as I said earlier, greed. Corporate tax dodgers, offshore oligarchs, far-right politicians, cowardly centralism, saying, oh, well, there's legitimate concerns. Fuck off. There aren't any legitimate concerns. There's just racism, mate. There's just fucking racism all the way down. And you've got the Tory and refuck hate machine. The petty hate machine that is the refuck fucking mantra. Trying to distract people from their own lives and things going on in their own communities, especially here in Durham, by going, oh, there's small boats coming over in Kent. Got to stop the small boats coming over in Kent. And you're like, what? What's that got to do with us? Like, seriously, hashtag Durham so white. Well, what's your problem? Well, they might bring the boats and come up here with the boats. Yeah, mate, don't think it's going to happen. Immigration isn't the problem. Blaming immigrants is the problem. And it's got to fucking stop. People have just got to fucking pack it in, because it is going to leave our country absolutely destitute and at the mercy of oily little crackpot, spiv, fucking greasy used car salesman fuckwits like Nigel Farage, who is a fascist, who is a fucking fascist. Look at what he's done. Look at what he said. Name me one thing that Nigel Farage has said that is racist. How about him saying, like, unveiling a picture saying breaking point, nearly 10 years ago, or 9.5 years ago. Breaking point, he said. Breaking point, right? And they cropped the white faces out of the queue. Funny that. Not racist, obviously. Ovs. Anyway, so what else have we got in the chat? We've got, I attempted to talk rationally to a refuck supporter friend. After a while, I realised he was in the wrong and therefore defended himself by shouting Trump repeatedly and just walked away. I'm sorry, Captain Coconut. That really fucking sucks. I love Chat Nanny and I want her to have my word babies. I remember signs in pub windows. Yeah. No blacks, no Irish. Yep, that happened. There wasn't a story about There was I don't know if this is apocryphal, but there was a story about a woman in World War II when American troops were quartered in people's homes. Well, people, I mean, they weren't quartered. They were like, it was a voluntary scheme that you could put a soldier up if you had a spare room in your house, and a woman put herself forward and said, you know, someone can, I can have a couple of GIs stay with me, but no blacks and no Jews. and so knock on the door, two black soldiers there. Hello, we've come to stay. And she said, oh, I think there's been some kind of mistake. And he said, no, Captain Cohen doesn't make mistakes. I always love that story. But yeah, bigotry's always been there. I'm just appalled that we are here in 2025 with the access to the internet that we have in our hands, in our phones, right? The access to every book ever written, everything worth watching, everything worth seeing, everything worth, experiencing as you can through a screen, right? And yet we're thicker than ever. We're more divided. We're more willfully ignorant. And that is a huge problem at the moment. Willful ignorance, people wallowing in their own stupidity and seeing it as a badge of honor of how thick they are, but at the same time, you got the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is like, they know, they don't even know they're thick because they're so arrogant. But we teach kids to be arrogant from the get-go. We teach them stuff that I think is just a daft thing to teach kids, and I'm probably upset some religious people watching this, but I mean, I honestly think to telling kids that, the little friends are going to burn in hell for being the wrong religion, I think that's child abuse. I think telling kids that they can have a personal relationship with the inventor of the universe is quite an ego trip. I mean, do you like Taylor Swift? Yeah, she doesn't know you. But God, apparently, you can have a conversation with him, the inventor of the universe, a bit more famous, a bit more important than Taylor Swift, I guess. But, and then the idea that you're going to survive your own death. I'm sorry, but that's really arrogant. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm so fucking special. The millions and billions of trillions of life forms that have lived and died on this planet over the last billion or so years that we've had life on the planet, and all of them, just disappear when they die. They don't have a soul. But you're magic. You're important. You're gonna keep going even though you're dead somehow through magic. And I go back to my argument of like when the Mormons or the Johos come to the door, and I invite them in, have a cup of tea. I'm pleasant enough. I'm not nasty to them. But first of all, do you really want this? Do you really want to survive your own death? I don't. I mean, a few more years would be nice, but I'm sure after the first 1,000, I'll be bored. Never mind the first million, billion, trillion years of existence. But the other thing is, do you really think that the most difficult questions mankind ever posed itself, where do we come from? Why are we here? What happens after you die? Were all answered correctly in the Bronze Age by illiterate people? And what scientific method did they come to come to this conclusion? What scientific method did they use to come to this conclusion? I don't know. But the answer was a wizard did it. A magic man did it. A magic entity, being, who looks like a man for some reason. I don't know why God has a penis, but, apparently he needs one. Probably to do with whatever he wants to do with all the virgins he took from that, the survivors of that massacre that was carried out in the Bible, where he said, don't kill the maidens, don't kill the virgins, don't kill the little girls. And then at the end of the battle, he turned up and said, I'll have half of these. That happens. Old Testament, look it up. But yeah, that's just my own opinion. Obviously, your mileage may vary. And I understand that some people need to believe in something. And that's fine. I don't want to be patronizing about that. But if you want to believe in something, believe in this. Believe in life and the planet that we live on and the things you can see and the things you can experience. There's so much magic out there. Real magic. Real actual magic that can be observed and can be quantified and can be proven time and time again. That's fucking amazing. That's enough for me. Thank you. Anyway, so I'm not going to get into a big debate on religion anyway, but that's just my personal take on it. I'm going to, personally, my God is the Alanis Morissette, love Dogma. Dogma's coming on the big screen again in November. It's back. I heard a story about Kevin Smith, who made Dogma after making Clerks, or Clarks as we would say in the UK, and Mallrats, Chasing Amy. I think that was the 3 films he made up to then, and then he made Dogma with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. And he wanted to make a sequel for years. He wanted to make a sequel. Many of the actors who were in the original wanted to be in a sequel. Alan Rickman was in the original. He was still alive at the time. And, that would be fantastic to get Alan Rickman in it. And so for years and years and years, Kevin Smith was pushing for them to be a sequel. But the person who owned the rights to the movie Dogma was Harvey Weinstein. Who turns out is one of the worst human beings ever. So, cut a long story short, one day, Kevin Smith gets a call. Will you hold for Harvey? That is Harvey Weinstein. And he has a conversation about it. He says, what's happening with Dogma? Would you like to make a sequel? And Kevin Smith's like, yes, I've written a script and everyone's up for it and I'm dead excited. And he's really excited. I say, well, we'll definitely have to discuss it. I think this would be a really, really good time for it. This is great. We'll definitely have to do that. And Kevin Smith is like, yes, we've got to finally make the sequel to Dogma that I've wanted to make for years. And then 3 days later, out came the reports of what Harvey Weinstein had done to many women. Many women in Hollywood, and destroying the careers of people like Ashley Judd and others. An absolute fucking monster, a rapist. And it turns out that Kevin Smith found out a little bit later on that Harvey Weinstein had been calling everyone he'd ever worked with to find out who had leaked the story about him being a monster. Because apparently it had been leaked by someone. Someone was going to talk. And so he was just calling up all of his old friends who he hadn't spoken to for years. And he was just blowing smoke up Kevin Smith's arse about doing a sequel. He just wanted to see if he was the rat or not. You see? He was trying to smoke out the rats. Obviously, if Kevin Smith said, I don't want to work with you. You're a monster. Go away. Then it would have been a bit obvious. But apparently Kevin Smith didn't know. Which is surprising to me because I don't know how anyone could not have known. There would have been rumours. Obviously, it's a bit like Russell Brand. Like, everyone seemed to know that he was a nonce fucking 15 years ago. But why was it a surprise when it finally came out? Maybe not a nonce. Maybe just someone who treated women like shit. But, now he's a right-winger and he's a big fan of Trump. And he's found Christ. He's found Christ in his trousers. You can feel him if you want. Dogma was interesting but patchy. Alan Rickman's always good value for money, though. He is. Alan Rickman. He died in 2016, and one of those celebrity deaths that was really hard because I quite liked Alan Rickman. He was a really good actor, even though he talked through his teeth. Shrek, the casting couches, indeed. Sounds like Kent Council. Yeah, find the rat. Noah is stolen from a Mesopotamian. Get off my myth. What? Noah is stolen from a Mesopotamian. Yeah. Get off my lawn myth. Yeah, I mean the flood myth appears in a lot of different religions. Actually, there's a lot of different religions that have a flood myth about, a big flood, and then someone building a boat, and they're the people who populate the world because they, So Prometheus' son in the Greek legends, in the Greek religion as it was back then. Now it's just a myth because no one still believes in it these days. But Prometheus' son I'm thinking Telemachus, but that's Odysseus' son. Oh, I've forgotten his name now. Anyway, him and his missus populated the Earth after a flood, which destroyed everyone because Zeus or someone wasn't happy with the people who lived on the planet. So they started to start again, and they walked around the Earth and they threw rocks over their shoulders, and the rocks turned into humans. Yeah, it's all, people go, it's all sequels and remakes now. Yeah, mate. It always was. It always fucking was. The Odyssey is a sequel to the Iliad. The New Testament is a sequel to the Old Testament. Antony and Cleopatra is a sequel to Julius Caesar. There were sequels. There have always been sequels. There will always be sequels. If a story's worth telling, it's worth telling again. And Ernie Burns saying God is a reflection of human ego. Yeah, well, that's why he looks like a human. I mean, there's no reason why God would look like a semi-evolved simian. Like, why? That makes no sense whatsoever. Why would God have a belly button? Doggerland, the Great Flood. Yes. Joanna says, strangely enough, when you come out of an ice age, you can expect a lot of flooding. What, 10,000 years ago? And that collective flooding would stay in the collective memory for years to come. Yeah. 2016 really sucked. Brexit, Trump, all those much loved figures leaving us. Worst of all was saying goodbye to my dad, age 91. I'm sorry, Colin. 2016 was fucking awful. We lost Princess Leia. We lost Prince. We lost Goblin King. We lost George Michael. We lost, oh my God, we lost so many fucking awesome people. It was the year that my dad was diagnosed with dementia. Really, really, really shit year for everyone I know. Great year for bigots, though. Great year for racists. Great year for gobshites. So, yeah. I think that the people who vote for refuck should have to sign a waiver that says that if they get treated at the NHS, they have to wait for an English-born doctor to treat them. How about that? How about that, eh? I wish Chris Morris would do a follow-up to Brass Eye, but like mocking GB News alikes. Yeah, that would be good. Broken News is very good. Look them up on the internet, on YouTube, please. Larry and Paul, Broken News. I'm gonna just look it up now. Broken News. Comedy show. What? Broken News. Oh, it was a comedy show in 2005. Ooh, hey. Was it called Broken News? Yeah, it is. It is. UK crack. Jesus Christ. UK cracks down on cracking one out. Larry and Paul. There you go. Okay. Oh, that's pretty easy. It's just YouTube at Larry and Paul. If you're not already subscribed, really good. When I met with Armando Iannucci last month at the Labour Party conference, I was actually talking about Larry and Paul because he knows Larry and Paul because he's met with them and done workshops with them and stuff. Armando Iannucci is one of the people who created Brass Eye and the Day to Day and stuff. So yeah, like just make it edgy as fuck. Yeah. I think that would be fantastic right now. Like GB News, just a Gammon Box, call it Gammon Box News. It'd be fucking brilliant. But it would be fucking amazing if they did a Brass Eye version, with the kind of production quality that TV can bring. But like just put news stories out and do it like on. I would be tempted to do actual real news stories that are going on, but doing like a satirical take on them, which is what Larry and Paul do. So well worth watching. Well worth watching them. Please go and subscribe to Larry and Paul if you're not subscribed already. They're good lads. They work really hard. They've got 38.5 thousand subscribers so far. So let's get that up. Let's get that up to 39,000. If you're not already following them, please give them a follow. And there you go. Keep getting Temu as a pop-up for 18 plus XXX. I'm intrigued. Temu doing porn? What? Anyway, right. We got 9 minutes left. Unless we get loads of super chats. Let's do a super chat goal. kind of a bit behind with money coming in this month. So 5 super chats. Let's do 5 super chats, and we'll try and get some covfefe in. Confefe. So yeah, let's see if we get a little bit more super chattage. Okay, so by the way, before I go to the papers, yesterday the stream just ended, didn't it? Me and Scott, it just ended. Yeah, sorry about that. OBS crashed. OBS just froze, and I was still chatting away like to Scott. Like I was still, there was no problem with Zoom, but obviously I had a memory conflict or something. And by the time I sorted it out, YouTube had decided to abandon the stream and cut it. So sorry about that. Server just asked what happened last night. My OBS crashed. I tried to show the world, or you watching, I tried to show you my book, The Great Brexit Cookbook. I just wanted to show you it and go, here you go, it's the Great Brexit. And it fucked up. Start the stream. What? Start the stream? What do you mean start the stream? Have I not started the stream? Have I just been talking to no one the whole time? What? What is even happening right now? I'm so confused. What do you mean start the stream? What? What? Can anyone hear me? Can anyone see me? I'm still here. Here are the papers. The Mirror. What did the palace know? Allegation that the prince tried to dig dirt on his accuser sparks new crisis. And then we've got Stuart Pearce's son dies in tractor horror. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oof, don't even want to know about that. Then we've got the Times over here. Andrew has not paid rent since 2003. Peppercorn a year for 30-room Royal Lodge. Crown Estate has previously redacted details. And the Telegraph on the other side. Just how can Andrew afford Royal Lodge? Yeah, well, it's a story that just won't go away. We have Viper Scott dropping in a £10 super chat. It's very kind of you. It's very generous this morning, Alice Durham, for the sweary jar. Swear jar. And then we've got George Only with £2 super chat. Thank you. And George Only says, super chat. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. We'll do that again. Right, okay. That was weird. Stream didn't start till I reloaded the page. Whoops. Sorry. Welcome to the show. So back here. Sophie Money Coots, who's some rich woman who went to private school, who gets to say things. What it's like to turn 40 and still don't know if you really want a child. Okay. Now Beatrice and Eugenie face test of family loyalty. We've got a story over here on the Times. Electronic eye enables the blind to see again, which is an incredible story. Had an incredible breakthrough. And Met to stop investigating non-crime hate after Linehan case, right? So this is the most disgusting thing you'll see all fucking week, probably. The Met police have said they're not going to go after people who are rich and went to private school, like Graham Linehan. Even when they commit crimes and incite violence against an entire community of people, we're not going to investigate. We're not going to go after them. We're going to leave them to it because, is it a real crime if a rich person commits? Is it if a privately educated person commits a crime? Is it a crime? I think not. So, open season for bigotry, open season for transphobia. So long as you went to a private school, of course. The rest of us, we have to follow laws and norms and standards of decency and things like that, But the privately educated, like Graham Linehan, they don't have to do shit. They just fucking live their own fucking lives, committing as many crimes as they like, and they'll always get away with it. Friends in high places, eh? Anyway, Daily Express here for safety and dignity of every women and girl. This is the Magnificent Seven. Darlington transphobic nurses continue their female-only spaces fight. These are the brave NHS nurses waging a historic fight for female-only spaces. There's a few clocky motherfuckers in there. Look at them. I mean, at least one of them has been asked, "Are you trans?" And that's what set them off on this journey. Definitely that blonde one at the back there. Yeah, she's been asked. She has definitely been asked at some point, "Are you trans?" And it made her brain fucking explode. And she decided that there and then that she was going to do everything in her power to make trans people's lives a fucking misery. You know, the sad fact is that, you know, some of these women, if they liked how they looked, they wouldn't be so fucking transphobic. J.K. Rowling looked at herself in the mirror one morning and hated what she saw. She absolutely fucking hated what she saw. And then she externalized that hatred. She had to find a target. And unfortunately for my friends, trans people were the target. Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the super chat. It's very kind of you. My favourite remark about the situation: the royals aren't a nuclear family; they're more of a thermonuclear family. From a Telegraph journalist. Well, indeed. According to the New York Times, the royals' real estate assets are worth around $33 billion, and Forbes reports it generated around $50 million in profits over the last financial year. It's nice to have a hobby in it. It's more likely for a camel to pass through an iron needle than from a rich man to be investigated by the police. Very good point, Ernie Burns. Very, very good point. The whole transvestigating phenomenon is fucking wild, says Not Magenta. Yeah. I mean, it's mind-blowing. It's absolutely fucking mind-blowing what they're doing. But there you go. Will AI take your job? Well, not if you're good at it. Tune in, the best musical biopics. Bigger electric car grants and money off EV charging to offset higher road tax. Cool. I love that they've actually got a petrol pump going in, not a plug. Wouldn't you think that the graphic that they use there, wouldn't you think they would use a plug? Like plugging it in? Like a plug? No? Just me. Okay. Instead of a petrol nozzle. Revolutionary bionic chip helps blind patients to regain sight. This is a good news story. Finally, good news story. People who have lost their vision given the ability to read again thanks to 2mm electronic eye implant. Scientists hail a paradigm shift in artificial vision with hopes that technology could be available on the NHS. And how Fergie charmed US while begging Epstein for cash. There you go. Over 50, top tips to age well. Well, over 50. Yeah, you're reading a newspaper, so you're clearly over 50 because no one under the age of 50 reads a fucking newspaper. But we do look at the front covers. Rock in a Hard Place. How the Star became box office poison. What? No, he didn't. Moana 2 made loads of money. What are you talking about? Been a couple of turkeys, but so what? Forgetfulness or Alzheimer's, the 10 biggest red flags. Another article for the older generation who read the Telegraph, obviously. There's lovely Jennifer Lawrence there. She's wearing a red carpet, and she's opted for warmth over bare shoulders, so that's worth putting on the front cover of your newspaper. Attractive young woman wears top. Grooming inquiry sabotaged by Labour. Starmer told to scrap plans and start again after victims quit, saying they were silenced. Labour have been accused of sabotaging the national grooming gangs inquiry by victims and campaigners. The long-promised inquiry suffered a serious blow yesterday after 2 victims quit a liaison panel, and one claimed they were being silenced. One claimed that officials wanted to downplay the ethnicity and religious background of perpetrators. There's probably, if you dig deeper, further than the first paragraph into that story, I've no doubt there were probably a couple of racists who were being racist, and they went, look, you can't be racist here. You can tell us what happened, and was very sorry that this horrible thing happened to you, but we're not going to add racist stuff to the inquiry. I think. I don't know. I wasn't there. Prince Andrew deemed a threat to UK security. There you go. Prince Andrew was deemed a potential national security risk because of his close links to alleged Chinese spies. And there you go. Bionic chip helps blind see again. And Met scraps non-crime hate investigations. No, it's a crime. You can't just declare something not a crime when it's a crime. Migrants baptized in asylum hotel baths by a Christian charity. Okay, is that integrating? I don't know. Villain, BBC staff praise IDF chant gig. The Bob Villain frontman has claimed the BBC staff praised his controversial Glastonbury performance. Is still going on about that? Wow, it's not like there's any other news going on. Trump flip-flops on Kyiv winning the war, and then Trump chickens out again? No way. It's almost as though Trump always chickens out. And then gambling watchdog in lottery sleaze row. Sleaze row. There we have, can toads be saved from decline? I hope so. Terry Gilliam on Monty Python. There was an inexplicable magic. We've got Prince. Sorry, but Prince tried to hire trolls to target Dufresne. Book claims, fresh allegations, Andrew revealed in posthumous memoir. Can I just say, right, you know, the word posthumous is like a ridiculous word, isn't it? Because it means like after your death. But it sounds like posthumous, like something that was funny but isn't funny anymore. So like, or maybe like a humorous post that you've posted online and it was humorous. And you could go, that post was humorous. It's a bit like postpartum. That means like postnatal, like after giving birth, postpartum. It's just a weird expression. It sounds like after someone's died. Maybe postpartum should be replaced. Maybe we should have posthumous. We'll get rid of that and we'll call it postpartum and we'll make it mean after someone died. Can't really do that now, can you? It's too late. But it doesn't sound quite right. I always use postnatal because that makes more sense to me because nativity. Although that might sound like it's just a few days after Christmas. But it was the postnatal period between Christmas and New Year, and you know, it's the boss of the year. I mean, what do you do with that? What do you do with that Humber Bridge of a thing? Anyway, so moving on. And then there's a really horrific story on the Telegraph, the Guardian website, if you want to go over there today. Mutilated Palestinians linked to torture in jail. At least 135 mutilated bodies of Palestinians returned by Israel to Gaza had been held in a notorious detention center, already facing allegations of torture and unlawful deaths in custody. Just really, really grim. And some of the stories that have come out of that, I mean, I'm not going to go because it's a proper trigger warning about it. It's really horrific. It's really, really horrific. Back to the papers. We've got Chris Stokell Walker, Amazon outage exposes a major flaw in how we're using the internet. Pizza Hut is dying. Your local favorite could be next. We were talking about that last night on the on stateside. I suppose Pizza Hut is an American company, so you know. I don't know. I'm just interested to see this Chris Stokell Walker. He's a freelance journalist and Wired contributor, so he writes for Wired. That's quite cool. Let's look him up on LinkedIn. He's a digital communicator, and he did post comments, freelance journalist, education, Newcastle Newcastle Royal Grammar School. Okay, that's all. Newcastle Royal Grammar School. There you go. It's a co-educational private day school. So Chris Stokell Walker there gets to write an article for The Independent. You don't. You went to private school. I'm not saying that everyone that we see on the front covers of newspapers, whether they're writing the articles or whether they're appearing in the fucking news, Andrew, went to private school. But like, oh my God, they all went to private school. They all went to fucking private school. And that's why they're allowed to say things and you're not. They're allowed to post articles and you're not. They're allowed to get a book deal and a TV series shown in the UK and you're not. So just so you know. Exclusive. Powell's attack on Starmer. We must turn Labour around. Frontrunner for deputy leader takes aim at PM over missteps and mistakes, saying she was sacked for opposing cuts and the party must reconnect with lost voters, but not by copying Farage's refuck. I'm very proud to say that I voted for Lucy Powell to be our deputy leader of Labour. So fingers crossed. And then a really cool headline in the Metro. I really like what they've done here. This is from a graphic design point of view. Fucking love it. Worldwide wobble after web giants glitch. Something went wrong, and they've used a glitch text. That is genius. I fucking love that. Hang that in the Louvre. When it comes to design and stuff, newspapers don't always hit the mark, but that excellent. 10 out of 10 to the graphic designer who came up with that headline. No notes. Anyway, this is about the AWS, Amazon server that went down yesterday and took down about 1,000 websites with it. There's no Financial Times today on tomorrow's papers today. Maybe they didn't publish it. I don't know why, but that's it for the newspapers today. We don't have a Financial Times to round up the news. I usually do that one last because it's got the sensible news stories in it. But there you go. Data centers aren't even ergonomic. We must turn Labour around, signalling they want to undo hard Brexit would be a start. Yeah, AWS has been too dominant for too long, but data centers require a lot of capital to set up. Yes, but it's putting all your eggs in one basket, isn't it? That's the problem with AWS, which is the Amazon web streaming service. Web server, sorry, not streaming. And it's it is just putting too much. This is why you need options. This is why in a capitalist system you can't have monopolies, because if that monopoly has a problem, then you lose that entire service and there's no options to take hold of. But there you go. Charlie had many dodgy friends. Indeed, he did. I avoid Amazon like the plague, says Nick in Diff, which I'm not surprised at because Amazon sucks, baby. Do you know what else sucks? Having to beg for super chats. That sucks, doesn't it? Sorry. Got 2 more to go. Any colour, any flavour. You got 13 minutes and 30 seconds. Or if you want confetti, that's what you want. If I pissed you off by going off on one about, I don't know, drink drivers or religion or something, then I'm very sorry. But never mind. Post office, I've just got back from work, says Acro. All the royals should be interviewed, and what what did you know and when, etc. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Look, I'm quite hopeful. Just to go back to Lucy Powell, who's running for deputy. She's running against Bridget Phillipson, who's a fucking turf who can fuck off. And Lucy Powell opposed the cuts to disability benefit, and I think she, being the deputy leader of the party, would give us a lot more say over the leadership of the party. Not she won't be the deputy prime minister. That's David Lammy. She'll just be the deputy leader of the Labour Party, and I'm hoping that she can use that position to put together a caucus of the Labour MPs. There's 400 Labour MPs, and you could easily get 100 of them to make a caucus that actually votes together as a bloc. Like the ERG, the European Research Group in the Tories or whatever, but one that is progressive, one that wants closer ties with Europe, one that wants to help the people, the poorest, the most needy in society, want to help them rather than go on about how they're going to take away their benefits. Me too. Avoid Amazon and associated delivery service crooked thieves. Well, it's very true, Andrew, but I've had a saga going on. So here's a saga. So the place that I acquired in Panama, right, as some of you know, I'm currently going through the process of trying to get the title for the place, right? At the moment, I just have right of possession, which is just basically squatters' rights, effectively. And to get the title, one of the things I need to do is get residency in Panama, right? This didn't used to be a rule until this year. They changed the rules. I'm halfway through the process of getting title for the island, so I have to do this, right? And part of the process of getting the residency is that you have to confetti. I'll come back to this in a moment. Thank you very much to Ice Boo and to Viper Scott there for the 2 £1 super chats, taking us over the line and getting us to our target, and confetti for you all. And Diz says, yay, confetti! So well done, both of you, for doing that. Really appreciate it. So yeah, part of the process of getting the title, it's a really expensive and really long process. And part of it, you need to get now residency in Panama. You need to be a Panamanian resident. And part of that is I had to get a DBS check. I then have to get the certificate. I then had to send that certificate. So you had to get the certificate, which is 20 quid. I had to send it over to Panama Embassy here in London, 30 quid. And plus postage. And then for them to authenticate it, right? And then they sent it back to me, 40 quid, right? So £90 so far for a bloody document. So they send it back to me and they use DHS. And for some reason, they needed a signature. And when they sent it back, it took so long. I applied for it at the beginning of August. It wasn't until midway through September that it came. But unfortunately, the DHS people knocked on the door, didn't leave a card. Cat didn't hear them. And apparently they tried 3 times and it went back to the embassy. So until yesterday, my DBS certificate, which I applied for at the beginning of August, was still sitting in the Panamanian embassy. But my wonderful friend Pranay, who's been on the Friday Night Social a couple of times, decided to celebrate Diwali by going to the Panama embassy and picking it up for me and sending it to me via Royal Mail. So, delivery services. And now I've got to DHL it to Panama because they don't really have a postal service in Panama. One of the things that we just take for granted in this country, postal service, stable economy, stable currency. Woohoo! Miss Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. You mean like the Tribune group? Oh wait. Is that the monopoly that owns all the media in this country? Is that Tribune? Yes. Tribune group. Oh no, sorry. It's a political group of left-wing Labour MPs. Sorry, I completely got you mixed up there. I'm glad I looked that up because otherwise I look like a right tit. A political group of left-wing Labour MPs in the UK form a weekly socialist newspaper Tribune or private limited company that manufactures parts for motor vehicles. But there you go, Tribune Group, a political group of left-wing Labour MPs. Funnily, if I was to run a group in Parliament, I'd call it the Ginger Group because that's an actual thing. A ginger group is a formal or informal group within an organisation seeking to influence its direction and activity. So there you go. The term comes from the phrase "ginger up," meaning to enliven or stimulate. But I'd spell it like Ginger Island, so it would be the Ginger Group, the JINJA group. Be my little my little cabal in a bigger party. But yeah, definitely need that. Definitely need that. Nick says, doubt our postal service will be around for long, unfortunately, being constantly wrecked. Well, I mean, it costs so much now. I remember when my first class stamp was 19p. Now it's about £19. Having a postal service in Iran, but not in Iraq, we send stuff to family on the Iran side who take over next time going. No real banking in either in northern Iraq. Sorry, but every time I hear the word Panama, I hear a burst of Van Halen. Did he sing a song about Panama? Did he? What? Visa application question. Do you own property in Panama? Yes, in Ireland. I wanted a game show. Oh, it's hard to explain. £1.74 now for first class post, says Diz. The Royal Mail is a Czech company now. Yeah, one of the oldest companies in Britain. I think the oldest company in Britain and possibly the world is the Royal Mint. Let's just look this up. Where's Wikipedia? Come on, tell me about it. Supplying coins to the UK for over 1,100 years. The Royal Mint. That is fucking crazy, isn't it? It's a company that has existed doing the same thing for 1,100 years. Although there was a period when we had no coins after Roman rule in Britain came to an end, and then And then, but by 650, as many as 30 mints were recorded across Britain. There you go. So yes, 1,100 years of minting coins. I think that is the oldest company that is still going. The unified system wasn't put in place until 1279. So yeah. So yeah, you could argue it was founded around 886 AD. That was its origins. It's a state-owned limited company that's made coins for over 1,000 years. Crazy. Waiting for my Dufresne book from Amazon today, says Mr. Tisk, after we've just been slagging off Amazon. As opposed to the Tribune company that owns the Chicago Tribune and was responsible for the Cuddly Dudley marketing campaign. I miss my Cuddly Dudley, but I digress, says Liz Allen. What? I've been in the Royal Mint in Wales to pick up wastewater from the council milling machines. Oh, that's interesting. And that's from Sarah. I'm sending Christmas cards on the slowest possible post at the end of the month. And yeah, I think people are just giving up on Christmas cards now. A lot of people, they're just like, oh, fuck it. If I see you, you'll get one. Yes, funnily enough, it was called Panama, the song by Van Halen. Cool. Was it Van Halen? Was it Van Halen? Was it someone else? Sorry, did I read that wrong? Yeah, it's Van Halen. A man, a plan, a canal. Panama. Okay, so I'm going to head off now, I think. Billy, our connection is with Iraqi Kurdistan. Very different, not Arab. Yeah, Iraqi Kurdistan, that's where I spent 3 days. I went to Suleimania and also went to Erbil. I had a snowball fight. Had the snowball fight in Iraq. I also played with an AK-47. Didn't fire it. I just, posed with it for a photo. I thought that'd be funny because, I was a dickhead. Still am, Still am. Anyway, I was like, welcome to Iraq. But yes, the north of Iraq is an autonomous region of Kurdistan, which has been around since 1991. Well, it's been around for a lot longer than that, obviously, clearly. But, it's been recognized as an autonomous region of Iraq since 1991, since the first Iraq war. Still catching up. The flood was probably when the Ice Age ended, the Mediterranean dropped below sea level, and the ice stopped pressing the tech plate, and the straits all breached with rising sea levels. Yep. But we're going to have that again. That's what the oligarchs want. That's what the oil barons want. They want the flood. They want the flood to come back to, the water to come to wash away the scumbags and the hoi polloi and the riffraff and the plebs and the lower orders, while they sit on top of their mountain fortresses laughing at us. And then they wonder where all the money's gone once there's no workers left to buy all of their meaningless shit. BG Kurdistan, long live Kurdistan, says Mr. Tisk. Absolutely. They got their own flag. In old Kurdistan. Lovely place. Great food. Great fucking food. God, just dip me in chocolate and give me a kebab. Nick and Diff says, I barely send any, to be honest. We do swap some family in person in November, but I send cards to elderly family I don't see these days. Let them know I still care. Oh, that's nice. And Kurdistan region is an enclave or Europe. No, it's a semi-autonomous region of Iraq. So if you're from Kurdistan, I don't think you get like a Kurdistan passport. I think you get an Iraqi passport if you want to go over the border into Turkey. Turkey, as it's known now. It's not just Turkey, but Turkey. Okay, right. I am going to head off now. So thank you for joining me this morning on the Morning Brew. And thanks for the super chats. And thanks for getting the confetti. Really appreciate that. Really appreciate a bit of confetti. I'll be back tonight, hopefully, at 7:30 with Ollie Bowler Hatman. I hope, if he's available. Well, we'll be talking about what the shit that what going on. The shit what going on in the world. Geoscope. But if you're a bit sick of all this and you'd rather talk about anything else, please join me and Rachel tomorrow for the rabbit hole, because we'll be jumping down the rabbit hole together. And I'm going to be giving Rachel a quiz. We're doing a James Bond quiz. I'm going to make it fairly easy, and it's going to be the same rules as last time, where Rachel will be given a chance to answer the question. If she can't answer the question, it'll be given to you in the chat. And if you can get it in the chat, you get the point, but you also have a score multiplier, because obviously otherwise it would be a bit unfair, because the question answerer gets first refusal. But yeah, what the one that's going to mess me up is the fact that I was asked about a Wes Craven film and it didn't say Last House on the Left, and then no one got it in the chat, and I'm like, is it Last House on the Left? It was. Damn it, last week. But yeah, please join us for that, and I'm sure we will digress. I'm sure we will talk a load of bollocks, as we always do, and please join us for that. It's anything but politics, the rabbit hole tomorrow. Also tomorrow, we've got Prime Minister's questions at 12 o'clock, unfortunately, so please join me for that if you want a little bit of the edge to be taken off the torturous the PMQs with Kemi Badenoch and Keir Starmer. And if you do want to join me tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, bright and early, Morning Brew, we'll pick a story, we'll talk about it, we'll talk about a few different things, we'll go through the newspapers together, and then I'll let you go to, I don't know, have a great day, have a wonderful day, have a smashing day, have a really good day, just have a good time, just find something that you like doing, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody. Go and do it. And in the meantime, I'll say thank you so much for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Give a like on the way out. Give us a like. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.